lately to Vitwit, Chainflow, and maybe cephalopods validators. We just are running a full node just like everybody else. Ours is nothing special.
I think we're live now.
Oh, we're live. 15 seconds in.
Yeah. Cool. Well, and I guess Gregory will be joining us.
Hi, everyone. We're live.
Hey, Dave. How's it going?
Welcome, everyone.
So we're just about, a little less than half an hour away from the big launch event. And I think we'll just be chatting here about our network, about what we've worked on so far, what we'll be working on, and getting ready for the big ball drop style countdown when we get a few minutes away.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Anil. Hi, Andre. Hi, Sarah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to dress up like Corey.
I have a Cosmos logo on my.
Oh, yeah, I have my Regen Network shirts. Man, I forgot.
You don't have a Regen Network. You don't have a Regen Network hat.
You didn't. Yeah. Maybe I should just take a minute and go change, and then I'll be more on style.
More on brand.
Yeah. So I think for this segment though, we should think of some things that we want to share. Maybe we could give some updates on where we are in terms of Regen Ledger development, where we are in terms of Cosmos SDK development, and the roadmap.
Yep.
So do you guys want to kick that off, and I'll get all ready with my Regen swag.
Yeah, sure. You're gonna go change.
Yeah, it's your duty. Let's get it. So maybe
where have we been?
Ourselves a bit.
Yeah, that actually sounds like a good place to start. Do you want to go first?
I will let you.
Okay. So hello, everyone. I'm Corey Levinson. I'm the technical product manager at Regen. Joined the project a little over a year ago now. Spent a lot of time working kind of both between the blockchain and earlier on spending some more time with some of our open agricultural work with the Open Team initiative. And yeah, as of the last several months, have been really leaning in a lot more into the blockchain side of things, as there's been a lot of work to do. Currently living in Central California in SLO County in a small town called Creston. There's a lot of vineyards and olive groves here. Yeah, other than that, been mostly based in LA for the past year. But yeah, I'm in Central Cali for this portion of the year so far. Robert?
So hello, everyone. I'm Robert Zaremba. So speaking here, I'm based in Switzerland. So the lovely European country, and I joined Regen about last summer, and never so I regret that decision. It's amazing story, amazing project, and hello, Gregory, so good to see you here. Yeah, since then there were so amazing initiatives, projects, discussions, met people, enterprises. And yes, my duties here at Regen are engineering, research and development. And I'm really grateful that I'm part of this ship, and we are going to change the world, are we?
Yeah. Well, I would love to ask you two a couple questions, sort of with my
with your hat,
with my farmer hat on. I would, maybe this one for Corey first. I would love if you would take a moment to just maybe explain what Regen Ledger is and what it does at a high level, and we'll start there, and then maybe we can, we'll ask a few other sort of questions just to try to land, because there's a lot of there's a lot of work going on this, on Regen Ledger and, blockchains in general. And so, yeah, like, what is it and why are we building a blockchain?
Would it make sense to maybe start about like what our current thinking is for it in its fullest reincarnation, but then also I think it'd be great to then flip it back to you and Aaron to speak a bit about how that's changed from some of the stuff that maybe it came from.
Yeah.
In the white paper.
Yeah. What is it now, and what's it going to do? And then we can.
And right as the ball's dropping, we can kind of land with like where we're at today.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, I think the easiest way to explain like Regen Ledger as a piece of software is to break it up into two core components that, like, at least today in terms of like ecological relevant functionality, is carbon credits or ecological credits on chain and data for verification and auditing of ecological state at a super high level. So, blockchains, people talk about them a lot as things for representing digital financial assets, for representing money, and carbon markets and ecological credits are no different from that. We as an organization, and I think this project from its inception has seen that there would be a lot of value for building financial infrastructure for assets that represent some kind of ecological like value that's been captured or generated. And so that's then you've got like this credit module on the one hand that has the ability to mint credits, have an understanding of what they mean. Maybe the credits were issued by someone, maybe the credits were triggered to be issued by a smart contract, maybe they correlate with a certain project on the ground that has done some thing for carbon sequestration, but it's all specifically about the minting of these assets that are then tradable and kind of like liquid. And then on the other side, you have this data module, which is trying to think of, and Aaron can speak to this in a lot more detail, what is a way that we can enable and allow for different types of ecological state to be stored and registered on our network, first and foremost as a kind of attestation, right? Because we're not quite at the point where we have all of the Oracle science worked out, where it's like, oh, all we need to do is just plug things together, and it's like it's the fully decentralized Oracle that says like this is actually what happened. But what we can start with is claims, right? Where it's all about a person or an entity or an organization signing something and saying, I assert that this happened at this place. And if you have enough people doing that in different ways, and you have a different constellation of organizations, maybe some that you trust a lot, maybe some that you don't, those can be registered pointing to the same piece of land or to the same general area, and can be connected then to the issuance of credits, like later down the line. That's, I think, maybe a nice overview of like the main components of, in terms of ecological related functionality. There's a lot when it comes to like, we could then speak about things like the groups module, things like the Keystone project that we're working on, which are trying to drastically improve the user experience and the ability and ease with which non-blockchain native people can actually interact with a system like this. But in terms of ecological functionality, I think that maybe sums up at a high level where what Regen Ledger is trying to do.
Great, thank you, Corey. Aaron, do you mind speaking a little bit about the sort of data model? And Corey is talking about the fact that there is no sort of deterministic, just sort of like ecological state machine that you can just say, you can just ask it, what is the health of the soil and what does that mean about its carbon? Like, that doesn't exist. It may never exist. It's complex. So therefore, we need something that allows for kind of what I oftentimes refer to as sort of an intersubjective claims and verification system, where you're, where there's like you're progressively adding evidence of a claim, essentially, that everybody can see. Can you talk a little bit about our approach to ecological data from an engineering perspective and what we're trying to accomplish? Maybe talk a little bit about RDF and just whatever semantic web stuff, just what is inspiring the architecture here that we feel like we're going to give create a system in which ecological data is appropriately used and can sort of build intelligence over time.
Cool. There's a lot of big questions in there. I first want to show off my DeFi for Earth shirt that I just put on. And so this was sort of like a wild and crazy model that that there's just a couple in circulation, and I actually designed this together with the designer. And it's
you can't see the back. You have to stand up.
You have to stand up.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, not quite.
It's okay.
I need to. Yeah, there we go. There's a crazy wild stuff there.
Decentralized finance for a thriving planet. Great.
Yeah.
On Cosmos.
Yeah, and so there's just a couple of these T-shirts in existence, and I was told that they weren't the best, but they're the wild and crazy version. I think they're pretty cool. Anyway, talking about data. So yeah, I mean, you said a lot of things in there, and I think there's sort of like a progressive approach that we're trying to take to how we represent ecological claims. Sort of starting from the status quo, which is just simply who, or maybe you don't even know, you trust a single entity. You don't even necessarily know who in that entity, but you know that you trust that entity, you trust this certifying body, and you trust the people that they've certified to issue credits. And so the first level is just simply upgrading that system so that there's basically a trail of digital signatures through the whole system, and actors that aren't necessarily sort of maybe actors that are farther down the chain can start developing their own digital identity and reputation around the claims they're making. So I think that's the first part where we're starting. I think it has been an idea that we've had since the beginning, is that eventually there could be some sort of like ecological oracles, which are based on satellite data, which is pretty, widely available and is public, that we're using that as a base of, as kind of like an anchor of truth, in reference to any other claim. So say, for instance, you have somebody that's on the ground who's giving more granular data. You still, in all cases, pretty much all cases can have access to this satellite data to provide like a backup to the claims that are made on the ground. So if, satellite only has a certain resolution, 10 meters or 20 meters, maybe there's some that's even, finer grain, but you still can't actually, see images of actual plants and trees. But you can get a sense, and if there's somebody on the ground that's making claims, you can correlate those, and you can see if something's a reasonable claim or not. You also mentioned kind of the RDF and semantic web technology. The choice we've made is to embrace the movement to have structured data, so data that is semantically rich and self-describing, and that's a vision that the W3C had since basically the World Wide Web was founded, and it's largely unrealized in terms of the scope of the vision that they had 20 years ago when they first conceived of this, which was that you have massive interoperable data that has kind of semantic meaning, but within it's been successful. We could say it's been successful in certain fields. For instance, in biology, I think it's been a lot more successful, and I think we have the belief that in the ecology field that it is something we should be pushing for, so that there is sort of a global kind of data network, so that we can understand better what's happening on the Earth, and that we're better able to manage it. So if we have semantically rich data attached to carbon credits, for instance, to the all through the process of creating those credits, there's a lot of analytics we can do on those assets that we can't necessarily do today, that can give us better ability to manage our planet's health. So I think that's kind of one of the things we're aiming towards with focusing on data.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Aaron. So I would love, there's one more kind of component piece that I'd like to talk about. Maybe, Robert, you could share a little bit about the groups module if you feel comfortable. If not, then maybe you could pass the baton over to Corey or Aaron. Because the three major components of Regen Ledger, within a short period of time after launch, obviously we're upgrading to these three modules over the next 6 weeks or so. But the third core component is governance and usability, so that people can actually engage with the blockchain, which has been sort of a holy grail in the Web3 world. It's quite hard. Key management, governance, these are challenging problems. Could you talk a little bit about the groups module, both from a high level, why is it important, what's it going to do, and maybe a little bit of the nitty gritty?
Sure. I mean, if you allow me, I can give also a few thoughts about governance in general.
Great.
Group module is just, in my opinion, the first step towards the better management of both Corey and Aaron were talking about the ecology, about our resources, and the ledger, so the management. So what the group module is a piece of functions, or maybe let's call it a framework, which allows to define groups and policies to act and directly on the blockchain, make decisions, make operations, and transactions. So currently, with us as Regen, we're leading that part of the development for the whole Cosmos community. And why this is important? Because there is almost no successful big business which is like a performance of one person. There's always a company, organizations, associations, and us humans. In general, we act as, we are social species, right? So there's always a community around it. And so we need a governance. We need to have a tools for that. And the group module is first very, very important framework which allows us to define the policies, to define people, accounts, users. And if I may, from that, go to a more general topic of the governance and why I think this is only a first step. So we were talking about this financial part a little bit, and ESG, and interesting enough, today we're inside the Cosmos ecosystem. We had a small discussion about the governance. So the governance, in my opinion, is the most crucial part of the ESG, right? The ecological, social, and governance movement. Why? Because if we don't agree, if we don't accept the first two, then they don't have a value. If the government is not there to accept, to facilitate the powers, the actions, the usability of our markets, of how the world functions, then we will not transact, we will not move forward. So having this governance modules ready for enterprises, communities, groups, or even administration level, country level, is the number one requirement to have this regeneration happening in a more efficient way.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Robert. So just to sort of take a step back, and we're about 7 minutes, everyone, 7 minutes and 14 seconds to Genesis of Mainnet, which is very exciting. So pretty soon we're going to be spinning up a screen share to show everyone the full node that's connected to the network. So we'll actually get to see the network come up live. I think it's probably a good moment now to zoom out and just talk about because this may be some people's first, decentralized network launch. So what is happening and how is it going to happen? And, so I think I'll just sort of do a little bit of an overview there, and everybody here can chime in briefly. And then I think, we'll sort of move into the next phase of the show. We're just going to keep this room so there's no hiccups like last time. Okay, so Mainnet, what is it? What's going on? What does it look like? So we have a blockchain that is about to come into being in a decentralized way. That means that R&D Inc. and Vitwit and the other contributors in the community that have been building Regen Ledger, which is this distributed ledger of ecological data, claims, and assets, right, is about to go up online without a central actor really. It's a community of validators that are going to come together and spin up their nodes. And as soon as there's enough voting power up, the network will start producing blocks, and it will be alive. It will be, a living machine that is running and has validator nodes. I actually think on every single continent. I think besides Antarctica, we will have validator nodes everywhere. So that's very exciting. Corey, do you want to just speak briefly about, mainnet launch? What are some of the what are some risks? Like, what is it? We're doing a live cast of this kind of unprecedented thing. I mean, obviously, people have live cast network launches before, people who are brave. But what are some of the things that could go wrong? What has you biting your nails about this being being streamed to 466 people around the world right now?
I realized that with my filter, I just want to check in that the stream is coming in okay. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
You're just becoming
cool.
Like sometimes you're there and sometimes you're yellow. And sometimes you freeze. So it's not the best stream, at least from what I've seen.
Well, I'll try and just speak to this, and hopefully the audio comes through okay. What has me biting my nails? I think that when the network launches, right, as you were saying, it launches when there's a threshold of voting power live on the network. As we assume will happen, there's once the network is live, a lot of initial delegations that people are going to be wanting to make, as with GenTX. So the transactions that people submit beforehand offline to kind of say what their initial stake is and their initial voting power, we limited that at 50,000 regen tokens. But once the network is live, any token holder can stake and delegate more than that 50,000 to any validator that they want. Well, if I came in and I said, great, the network's live, I want to delegate all of my tokens to a validator in Miami, and that validator in Miami wasn't online yet, then even though the network had come online, it may stutter and then stop because the voting power is such that it now needs to wait for the validator in Miami to significantly come online now that the power has changed. So I think one thing that we're going to be watching is seeing not just does stuff come online and start running, but does it take a little bit longer for things to get to a point where it's running stably, where the network is kind of just feeling like operationally smooth, and there aren't too many changes in the network like pausing.
Let's take
Gregory, you've been working on.
I want to take a quick break and just check in with Aaron. Do you have the full node screen share?
Or use the full node screen share. We're 3 minutes away, so I think we've turned that on now.
Let's turn on the screen share.
Cool.
And you're welcome to keep going with that thought.
Yeah, I'm just going to focus on getting the screen share going right now. Whoa.
And for those who are interested, you can also tune in. We're going to have a full node up and running, which is tracking the blockchain as a screen share. You can also go to, I popped into the chat, regen.anika.io. Great, fantastic. So you can see here, yeah, you can see the countdown, everybody.
This is it.
This is it. This is it. So we'll get to see when, and there's a little bit of a pool going on amongst the validators. We were having a conversation yesterday, pre-launch, with the community. People were putting some bets on how long it was going to take to get the chain up and running. Several people thought within 30 seconds. Some other people thought it might take 3 minutes. Some people were more conservative and thought it could take up to 30 minutes. So feel free to ping in your chat there exactly what time you think the chain is going to come up and running. And no promises, but maybe we'll send people some swag or some, Aaron, maybe I'll dig up one of Aaron's DeFi for Earth shirts or something and send it to the winner. So go ahead and pop in your estimates there.
We can do another production run of these shirts if you want them.
Yeah, I think we should. So, essentially, we're going to see how long it takes to get enough voting power up, and that means how many nodes are up and running as we get going. And if all the validators are up and running, spinning their nodes up right now as we get towards the launch moment, it could happen very fast. It could happen really quickly.
You guys want to do a countdown?
Yeah, we should definitely do a countdown. Maybe when we get to 10.
Yep.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's see.
Oh, something's happening.
Switnik. All right.
We got blocked through.
Did you just?
That was 10 seconds. I have.
Block
right.
2.
Are we minting blocks?
Block 3.
Oh, height.
Height 3.
Number of transactions 0. So okay, nice.
All right.
All right. Let's see which validators
4. Oh wow. Okay. Cool. Current height 3. So now.
All right, and let's see. We can see which validators are up. Yep, I'm seeing uptime reports from. Looks like we have 50 validators in the validator set.
All right. Wow.
They're all rolling.
That is
no way.
Rolling.
That is
block 9, height 10. Yeah. Yep, and I'm seeing uptimes pretty good. Some people are having a little bit of trouble with uptime. Most validators at 90%. Let's see.
wow.
It was like 10 seconds.
That was fantastic. Go Regen community. That was pretty impressive. So now, folks, if you've got Regen tokens and you'd like to go start staking and helping build the stake, you can also, if you want, memos, if you want to send out, any information that will be, in the sort of in the data integrity layer of Regen network, you could send happy birthday Regen messages or, nothing short of planetary regeneration in your memo as you're doing your delegation transactions on Kepler. So now everybody is, go get at it if you want to start delegating to your favorite validators or validator.
We've had a few delegations come in already.
All right. So welcome to the World Regen Network. I forgot to bring up my champagne for the pour me a little
Gregory,
there.
I will be very happy to drink for you.
Yeah. Thanks, Robert. You're holding it down for us. Josh says Kepler getting up shortly. Awesome. Well, so give us an update, Josh, when Kepler's all ship shape. Wow, I'm a little speechless. It's pretty exciting. So for those of you who don't know actually how impressive it is, this is sort of like maybe people who saw the first. I don't want to compare this to the first flight of the Wright brothers because we're not the first blockchain. Obviously, we're building on the shoulders of the whole Cosmos community of many other folks. But this is an engineering feat. So although it's working, it did take a lot of auditing, a lot of code, and a lot of social coordination. The fact that 50 plus validators were all up and running with their stake, had their machines running, coordinated for this time. Doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes networks take hours to finally get the voting power to get up and running.
Maybe it's also worth to mention that we are running on the most widely adopted and battle-tested proof-of-stake consensus algorithm.
Yeah, it's a true story. So the Cosmos SDK broadly, I think, as a proof-of-stake application framework, is securing more than $100 billion worth of assets. And Tendermint, as a consensus engine, is even more broadly adopted and is used in private consortium chains and Hyperledger world throughout the Cosmos SDK world and beyond. So we chose the Cosmos SDK to be our development framework because it is so well tested and has such a strong community of support. And so really fantastic to see this come online so quickly. Fedes asks, when IBC? Hopefully pretty shortly, right? We have a number of different governance upgrades. First, I would say when transactions, and then once the community enables transactions, I think IBC will probably be short on the heels of that. For those of you who don't know what IBC is, that's inter-blockchain communication protocol, and that is sort of the beating heart of the approach that the Cosmos community has taken to have sovereign application or community-specific blockchains that can communicate with one another. So they have their own governance. It sort of solves scalability issues because people can have different blockchains running on different computers and not get congested as sort of the one chain to rule them all thesis of Ethereum and others get quite congested if there's lots of traffic. We can sort of replicate out and have a connection between blockchains baked into the heart of how Regen Network and other Cosmos SDK chains are built. Noah is asking about not being able to stake in Kepler. Yeah, my apologies for jumping the gun there. Josh was just saying, I think they have a little bit to get Kepler up and running. So he's here in the chat and he'll let us know when Kepler's working. If you're familiar with CLI, you could start doing delegation via CLI. And Josh says Kepler's up. All right, fantastic. So you might want to refresh. Josh, is there any refreshing? Maybe Dave, do you want to? Maybe Robert, do you mind dropping out and we could just bring Josh up on just to explain to people if there's anything that they need to go through to use Kepler?
Sure, that's good.
Awesome.
So,
Dave, do you mind popping Josh into the stream here?
Pulling them up right now.
All right. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Thanks for hopping on.
First of all, yeah, absolutely. Congratulations. This is super exciting. We just got the web interface up to stake. I do want to let you guys know that right now we have a very tiny issue with the WebSocket. So you are able to stake, but typically when your staking is successful, we'll show you a message that it's successful. Whereas now it's just gonna kind of keep spinning. So make sure you kind of have an Explorer up. Keep a lookout for your transaction. It should work. It just keeps spinning. So if you refresh that web page, you'd be able to see the updated balance and the stake balance. We'll work on kind of figuring that out as soon as possible. But yeah, staking works. We just tried it, and yeah, it's super awesome. I've been really excited to see this happen.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. And we'll have Josh on a little bit later as well to talk more about Kepler, other things happen in the Cosmos ecosystem, and just the intersections with Regen. And I'm just curious. Do you have I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Staking with Kepler, people are pretty good at it. Do you have like do you want to just pop in the chat, you know, like a little tutorial link so that people can
Sure thing. And one thing to note is right now, because we have the low transaction fee when you confirm the transaction to 0, you will have to choose average or high for the transaction fee for the transaction to actually go through. So that's another kind of thing you'd have to be aware of.
Great.
But yeah, happy to kind of walk through. I'll be watching the chat, answering any question, and kind of sending resources that people may find helpful as well.
Great. So for those who didn't catch that, if you're when you set your fees, just set them for medium or high, just to ensure that your transaction goes through quickly when you're executing your delegation. And again, if people want to this is your opportunity to just sort of like get your, you know, welcome Regen or whatever your statement is, you can put that into memos, and those will all be available. Maybe we'll do a little compilation of the different memos that come out and share them back with the community as you start staking.
Awesome. And I'm seeing a lot of staking transactions on the Explorer, which I'm assuming then, you know, people are finally able to get their transactions through.
Yeah, people are busy. I'm just trying to look back up through here and see what the estimations were. Did anybody estimate 10 seconds? Anil was under a minute. Alex D at stake to earn 10 seconds. I think there's a couple 10 seconds. So you know, maybe I'll Bob. We have Alex D. Yeah, so we got a couple people correctly guess the time to get the network up. So maybe Alex and Bob can ping us over on Discord in the staking channel, if you don't mind signing up and just like waving and saying hello. And Dan can take your information down, and we'll get you guys some T-shirts sent for your appropriate guess. Pretty awesome, pretty spot on. Cool. Well, so let's see. We're about 10 past, if I remember correctly. I just want to make sure we're sort of keeping on time. We got a full program here. So yeah, we got about 10, 15 minutes left. So let's zoom back out. Aaron,
pause on the screen share.
Yeah, I think we can pause on the screen share. I think people have to link.
Save my CPU a little bit between the screen share and the flower filter.
Totally. Right. So, what do you think the first governance proposal is going to be? Any guesses?
Well, we're hoping to have a software upgrade really soon after launch. We're working hard on getting the 0.43 release of the Cosmos SDK out the door. And as soon as we get that out the door, we're planning to integrate it into a testnet, a Regen Ledger testnet. And if testing goes well in that testnet, we'll be putting forth a governance proposal to do a chain upgrade. And this would actually not be a hard fork upgrade. We wouldn't change the chain ID. We would use the coordinated upgrade module, and we'd vote on a height, and hopefully everything would go smoothly, just like we saw, and it would be maybe down for a minute or two, and then we'd have a new version of software running.
Yeah, I remember a couple of these coordinated upgrades that we've tested were under a minute in terms of downtime, which is pretty impressive. So Is that upgrade going to include the groups module?
That is the plan. The upgrade would include the groups module, the authorization module, and the fee grant module.
Awesome. So yeah, okay. So that's big.
Essentially,
What do those things?
credit modules too.
What do those things open up? What does that like sort of combination of groups, auth, and fee work enable that we're so excited about?
Yeah, I mean, it enables basically, one big thing that the groups module enables is governance. The other thing that we've been, an idea we've had in mind is to help users manage keys. And there's a project that we've sort of been working on at a relatively slow pace compared to other things, but that we're hoping to work on more later this year, which is called Keystone, which is for secure key management. And the intention is to use the secure enclaves on mobile devices for basically group keys. The authorization module enables a bunch of cool things that people have been asking for a while. For instance, you could delegate the permission to some group of keys, the ability to vote on proposals. So you could keep your master key in cold storage, for instance. And you could delegate to kind of like a burner key to vote on proposals and whatnot. And fee grant supports with that in that you can have wallets that don't actually have balances that can make transactions. And those transactions are delegated by other accounts. We're also hoping to get the credit module in. It might take a bit more time, but that's also, soon on the roadmap.
Talking about the auth module here, if I remember correctly, the Auth module is one of the core sort of non-negotiable features that we felt a layer 1 blockchain needed to have when we were doing our initial sort of user-driven design, and the reason for that is because in a traditional blockchain, a farmer, in order to like upload some data or be involved in receiving transactions for an outcome as a peer on the network, would need to be able to manage their private keys and never lose them. And if they lost them, there could be big issues. And we felt like that was sort of probably not tenable for user adoption and for actually having things. Like, can you just walk through how the Auth module is going to transform user experience for someone using Regen Network like a farmer?
Yes, I just want to clarify one thing. Not the Auth module, it's the authorization module. Okay. And the short version of that is AuthZ. So the current Auth module focuses on authentication. This module focuses on authorization. And yeah, I mean, the basic way it works is that for any action that one account can perform on the blockchain, you can give another account to perform that same action as your key. So you could allow, and you can place limits on that. We have different authorization types in the SDK. And it's an extensible system so that you can add new authorization types. So for instance, you could say, I'm going to authorize this account to spend up to 100 regen for whatever it wants to. We have authorization set up for delegating. And that's actually something that people have asked about, like, hey, could we have some other bot or service that manages delegation or voting, or some trusted third party? So I don't know if that kind of answers your question, but that's the...
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So so this first upgrade is going to be pretty significant. The last missing piece from our sort of minimum desirable Regen Ledger blockchain would be the data module, correct? So we have credits live, we'll have AuthZ and groups and fee management all working and live, and a lot of that available for the rest of the Cosmos community. We've taken a very sort of community-centric approach to make sure that our tools are available to everybody through the Cosmos SDK, which I think is maybe unusual in terms of how teams are choosing to develop. And so the last little piece is going to be the data module. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, so the data module will basically allow you to, the first function is to allow you to anchor data on chain, which basically provides a proof of timestamp. It will also allow you to store small amounts of data and to also store signatures for pieces of data on chain, which will allow you to use basically group account keys and authorizations for signatures. And the idea is that this would be first linked to the issuance of credits. Like you would kind of put the metadata for a credit issuance in the data module. But eventually the whole issuance, all the different documentation along the way in the issuance process, which would be tracked with the data module. Things in the issuance process would mostly probably not live on chain, but be an on-chain anchor and possibly signature for that data, so that we're not just clogging up the chain with a bunch of verification information, but it is securely tracked there. And that also allows for a certain amount of privacy if there are certain documents that people don't want to make public. Although hopefully, people choose to make more information public than not.
Awesome. Cool. That's great. Thank you. So I would love it just for a brief moment. We've sort of alluded to this, but maybe Corey, if you're interested in taking this to start, and then Aaron could color things in a little bit more. Would you be willing to just chat a little bit about the Regen engineering team's role in the Cosmos ecosystem and sort of stewardship and maintainership of the Cosmos SDK, and just what we're doing there and how that relates to and is inspired by our own use case?
Sure. I mean, there's this has been definitely an important part of all of the work that we've been doing since I joined the team last year. I think I remember when I first came on board around February of last year, one of the first conversations that I remember having with Aaron was, hey, so I think we may get this service contract with the Interchain Foundation to actually start, contributing and taking more of a maintainership role in the Cosmos SDK. Like, we got to get this proposal together and here's the kind of thing I'm thinking about. And, that was the focus kind of from day one of me arriving was the onset of a formalization of that relationship. It stemmed from, I believe there was a hackathon prior to that, but not only that, we had on our engineering team prior Ethan Frey from Confio, who is the technical lead of the CosmWasm project. And CosmWasm itself, actually, which is a very kind of, it's known within the Cosmos ecosystem as the smart contracting platform for Cosmos-based blockchains. Ethan was working internally with the Regen team and, within the context of Regen when CosmWasm was sort of in its early incubation. And so we've been quite connected to a lot of the sort of technical edges of where Cosmos SDK and Cosmos-based blockchain have been going for some time. And this year, I think that the biggest thing that our engineering team was involved in was what a lot of folks in the ecosystem already know as the Stargate upgrade, which was, in short, it was the most significant upgrade to the Cosmos SDK since the initial launch of the Cosmos Hub. Now, a big component of that, IBC, was not something that we were actually as directly involved in, but our team was very much kind of leading the charge, and Aaron leading the vision behind the whole migration to use protocol buffers for the serialization format, as well as, now essentially when building a Cosmos SDK application, defining protobuf messages is one of the first things that you do when building out a new module or starting up your own chain. And that, the code generation that protocol buffers allows for basically gives you the ability to have, and our kind of vision for it is to have much more seamless client applications, much more seamless integrations for third-party developers to be, hitting RPC endpoints. They can use gRPC. and serialize protobufs over the wire. So just leveraging that whole set of infrastructure, which is, protobufs is an open source project that's been in development and led by Google for a long, long time. I think is really leveling up a lot of I think our hope is that it puts Cosmos blockchains in sort of a class of their own with regards to how easy it is to develop with them and how easy it is to build integrations against them. So, that's not the only thing that we've worked on, but that was certainly one of the bigger projects that we were involved in over the past year. And all of the stuff that Aaron's been speaking to earlier, whether it's the groups module or the authorization module, these are all pieces that, we know we need Regen for our own use case, but in realizing that these are larger pieces that the broader Cosmos ecosystem is wanting as well, we've been grateful to be able to do that development work directly within the context of the Cosmos SDK, so that it's not just work for us, but it's work that we're doing for the broader ecosystem.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you, Corey. That's great context. Yeah, so just to sort of summarize in non-engineer speak, a lot of the needs that we had for a layer 1 blockchain, it turns out were common pain points in a bigger community. And we sort of, as we were contributing to try to make the Cosmos SDK work as an ecological ledger and to interface with smallholder farmers and scientists and other people who are not crypto native, our architectural design and our requirements were pretty clearly widely useful. And I think the Cosmos community, led by the Interchain Foundation, sort of invited us to take that vision and make it possible and accessible, possible to access for the whole community. And I think in a way that's slowed down our engineering. But on the other hand, I think in a way it's, I hope, improved the quality, because we've had to engage with a bigger community, and there's been an evolution of a very formal review process and a lot of eyes on the code that's, sort of being developed and bumped out, which has its, it slows things down. But on the other hand, it creates a very rigorous engineering environment. So we're, really excited and grateful to be playing that role for the community and have the benefit for our chain of, the layer 1 solution that we feel like is the most appropriate for actually weaving together this network of stakeholders who need to have accurate data about ecological state in order to issue and exchange assets, natural capital, soil carbon, biodiversity, these other forms of value that we're also passionate about making sure that there's economic recognition of, does require a lot of engineering rigor at the foundational layer of how this all takes place. So, Aaron and Corey, I'm super grateful for you guys' fantastic leadership and work on the engineering side, and the rest of the team too. Robert, Amari, Marie, some new folks have joined recently as well. Tyler and Andre. Yeah.
And everyone on the Vitwit team.
And the whole Vitwit team, Anil, CTO, and Atish, and everyone over there. Just such a fantastic group of humans, right, who are applying this pretty complex and esoteric art of engineering distributed systems, right? And doing so in order to bring about a platform for a thriving planet. So thank you all for your work, and it's really meaningful, I think, for the whole world, Regen Network, and the entire Cosmos ecosystem. So thanks so much for your fantastic work. I'd love to just see if each of you have a little bit of a closing word before we shift gears into the next session.
Yeah, I would just say, much appreciation to all the people that made this happen. I mean, it took us a long time to get here. We started back in 2017, and it seemed improbable that we were going to end up at this point where we are now. but a lot of people stuck with us, team members, many supporters in the community, in the Cosmos community. And, I'm super grateful for all the people that stuck with us over the years and believed in us and believed we could pull it off. And such high caliber people too. And I think just the speed with which and the smoothness with which we had that launch definitely speaks to that. Everybody's just really on top of things. The developers, validators, all the support in the project. So yeah, much gratitude.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Corey, any last words there?
Hey, maybe just very briefly, for all token holders, and this is not just for validators, a call to participate in governance. This network is live. If you hold Regen tokens, then you are a part of our governance community and you are part of dictating the direction we go in, the software upgrades that happen. And also, I think it's worth mentioning, we have from Genesis 2 million regens in the community spend pool for governance. So there are funds available for the community to vote on the distribution of. Take advantage of that, participate, go on our forum. We have a new forum at forum.regen.network. And I think it's been a great journey up to this point to be from the inside, from like R&D Inc. or Regen Network Development, working on this. But from this point forward, there are a lot more actors in here. And so looking forward to seeing all of the other folks in the ecosystem take shape and participate.
Fantastic. And thanks, Josh, for hopping on to help with chatting us through staking. And there's some resources in there for folks. Corey, Aaron, thank you so much. David, I'm going to pass the baton back to you so that we can move into the next session.
Great, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead and move everyone over to session 3. We're going to meet some of our lead validators. So stand by. You're about to be sent over to our validator session.
Thanks, everyone.